Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Curtis here. We are a couple of minutes till go time, so we'll just give everyone else a few more minutes to get their calendar invites to pop up, grab a comfy spot, maybe a beverage and a snack, and we'll get going in about 3 or so minutes here. So you will hear from me very soon. Hello, this is Curtis again. We are 1 minute till go time, so one more minute and we will get this show on the road. A big warm greeting all the way from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. My name is Curtis Dohanyuk, and I am a product expert with Replicon. And today I will be your guide and host on our feature webinar presentation, Why Kickstart Digitalization with Project Time Tracking. So we know right now a lot of workplaces are a little bit more disarray than usual. Things are changing rapidly and the situation is always evolving. And now more than ever, it is so important to have our time tracking processes digitalized and most effectively on the cloud because it allows for greater flexibility and really allows us to adapt to any situation. So today we're going to see how the Replicon platform can help solve all these headaches that may come from older and previous time tracking platforms, or even Shutter makes me think Excel spreadsheets, how Replicon can improve upon these processes for everyone. And if you are already a customer of Replicon, we're going to maybe show you some things you didn't know about the platform and unleash some new data and tools and power to really even kickstart your process even further. So, quick review of everything we will see today. First, we'll start off with an overview of some of the problems that organizations might be facing right now when it comes to digitalization and time tracking. And then we will look at how Replicon can help you kickstart digitalization and really improve upon these processes. Afterwards, we will hop into a demo, which will be quite thorough. It'll show you the nuts and bolts of Replicon, how everything works. Then we'll do a quick review of everything we saw, look at a couple of customer transformations, and finally, we will finish off with a Q&A. So just a couple of housekeeping notes throughout this presentation. You will be on mute, but don't worry. If you have any burning questions that pop into your brain at any point in time, feel free to submit them into the question box at the bottom of your screen, and I will get to as many as I can at the end of the webinar. So if you submit something during the webinar and I don't answer it, don't feel like I'm ignoring you because I'm not. You are all very important, but just trying to keep the webinar flow going. And if we are stopping to answer every question, then we could be here for some time and it might throw me off my kilter. So we'll save everything to the end. But if there is any massive disasters, maybe my screen turns black, you can't hear me, I'm sucked into a black hole, feel free to raise your hand, then submit a question, and then I will get to it. And hopefully we can improve the webinar process for everyone if there is some technical issues that are popping up. But otherwise, we'll keep moving along until the very end. So at Replicon, not only do we believe that people's time is a strategic asset, but it is your most important asset. Time is finite. You only have so much available to you. And once it is used up, it is gone. You are not getting it back. So you need to treat time like the precious, precious resource that it is. And you would actually be shocked. Well, I was shocked at least when I figured out how much time you have available at your disposal in a given year. And depending on the size of your organization, your mileage will vary, but with 500 employees, you will get 1.4 million hours to use in 1 year. 5,000 employees is 10.4 million hours annually. And with 50,000 employees, you have 104 million hours available to you in 1 year. And that is so much time. It's almost unfathomable how much time you have at your disposal. And frankly, this is too much time for one person or one department to manage because time is so fragmented. There is time everywhere and it is quite a large volume of time that you're dealing with. And what makes it so difficult to manage? Well, yeah, as I said before, it is fragmented and tedious. So as we could see with Frankie, our poor Franken system here, he has so many different moving parts. He has ERP, CRM, project management, PSA, HCM, and payroll. And to compound these problems even further, we have on-premises data and databases and on-premises hardware handcuffing these already difficult to combine processes. And since we have people working from home, we have people working from the road, we have people working from who knows where, we need everything to be easy and accessible. And as you can see with Frankie, not everything necessarily fits well together. So we need a solution for this fragmentation of our time tracking processes. And this fragmentation can cause so many challenges, and look at the headache it's causing our model here. We have costing and billing delays that pop up. We have low utilization rates, chargeback errors, inability to plan to any sort of capacity, decreased profitability, and future pipeline growth are all problems from this fragmented and tedious time tracking system. So before we go any further, I'm actually going to launch a poll because we do really value hearing either from you guys who are current customers or our prospects, because we want to make this experience from the webinars all the way to the product as perfect as we can. So your feedback really helps us to develop Replicon into a very robust and succinct tool for all of your needs. So today we want to find out, what do you use your time tracking data for? So you can choose all that apply, but we want to know, are you using your time tracking data for project and job costing, internal client billing, external client billing, time and attendance and payroll, and tracking employee productivity? And I want to thank you also for getting your votes in so quickly. They are flowing in, and it is quite a big variety of different reasons that people are using their time tracking systems for. So we're going to explore these all a little bit further. And do keep in mind that today we're focused in more on project, job, and costing. And as I can see by the votes, a lot of you are using Replicon or hoping to use Replicon for that exact reason. So we'll explore that a little bit further, but we do have many other processes that we can enhance with Replicon. And we'll talk about that again in the quick future here. Short future, quick future. Yeah, we'll keep it with that. So I'm going to end my polling. Thank you everyone for voting so quickly, and let's share the results. So most of you are using your time tracking systems for time, attendance, and payroll. And so Replicon can certainly do that, and we will explore that a little bit, but not so much for the payroll side. But also using it for project job costing, you've come to the right place, as well as external client billing, tracking employee productivity, internal client billing. Replicon does all this. We might not focus so much on every single aspect today, but you will see fragments of it throughout our platform. So thank you all for voting. We do appreciate it, and we use this to enhance the experience for everyone. So like we saw, there are many challenges that pop up from having this fragmented time, and it's also very evident when you take a look at your organization and you see that you have so many different roles. You may have a finance leader, an operations leader, a delivery leader, a resource manager, a billing leader, and an HR leader, and they all need time information, albeit this time information is for different processes and different reasons. But what doesn't change is that they need this time information to be accurate, concise, and they need to be able to grab it from a spot that makes sense. So if we have time in different silos or we are using Excel spreadsheets, there is so much room for error because people can translate this time information differently. So we want consistent action for every single person in your organization, whether they are a top level administrator or just an end user who's just logging their time. It needs to be a simple, efficient, but effective process for everyone involved. And for that, we have Replicon's Time Intelligence platform. It is your powerful platform for all of your time tracking needs. And if you're currently using Replicon, then you have seen this in action. But if you are not, Replicon is so configurable. We can change every aspect of the platform to meet your needs. And one of the ways that we can customize and configure our platform to meet all of your needs is through scalability. So whether you are that 10-employee startup or that 1 million employee established organization, we can grow and evolve with you. And not only can we grow and evolve in size, but in location. So we are global. So wherever you have employees on this big planet of ours, we will have a Replicon instance that is set up for their specific requirements. So this includes multiple languages, currencies, time zones, pay rules, holiday schedules. The list goes on. We have so many ways that we can customize Replicon and configure it to each location that you will have happy employees wherever they are. And including being able to spread out across the globe, we can also be with your employees wherever they are with our mobile app. So our mobile app was not just a port of our desktop platform. It was built from the ground up for ease of use in mind. We wanted our time tracking system to be easy to encourage everyone to use it properly, because we know how much of a pain it can be trying to remember exactly what you did during the day, or maybe you're keeping manual track of what you did. When you finally get to a PC and try to log your time, it's not going to be accurate, and it's not going to be updated in real time. So by having Replicon mobile ready, we can ensure that not only is your time accurate, but everything is updated in real time so you can see how everything is affecting your organization as it happens. We also make this process easy by employing artificial intelligence. So whether you are an administrator or an end user, we have artificial intelligence like our chatbot, for example, that will really help to streamline this time tracking process. And finally, we are plug and play. We are an open source API, which means we can send and receive data from and to any program in your ecosystem. So regardless of where you need to get your data, Replicon will play well and ensure that that data is where it needs to be. And we will explore all these a little bit further in our demo today. So Replicon is a comprehensive suite made up of multiple solutions. So today we're focusing in a little bit more on project time and costing, but that by no means is all that Replicon is capable of. So we can help you with time and billing, project resource management, time and attendance and compliance, workforce management, and global paid time off. And you can use as many or as few of these solutions as you see fit. Now, if there is something that you want to understand a little bit more but isn't quite covered in the depth you'd like today, then you can always tune into one of our weekly webinars that cover a multitude of these topics, hosted by yours truly. Or you can also just drop us an email and we can always hook you up with the information you need and even customize demos for whatever your needs may be. So here's a quick rundown of everything we will see today. We're going to take a look at how Replicon can help you with accurate project time tracking. We're going to show you how to enhance your project costing. We'll streamline your internal chargebacks, R&D tax credit, and cost capitalization processes. We'll show you how global, scalable, and mobile-first Replicon truly is. And finally, we will take a look at our powerful analytics and integrations. And I know everyone's really excited for the platform, but I do have one more poll that I would like to share with everyone. Because again, we really do value your information and we use it to make Replicon the best platform that we can. So we want to know, do you track all your employee hours? This one's only a select one option, but we have as options, we track time against billable projects only, we track time against both billable and non-billable hours, we track all project and non-project related time today, and we track time for attendance and do not need the details. So, I mean, this will vary between every organization. Some organizations need to go pretty deep into their time and other organizations may need just a surface view of everything. But Replicon is capable of allowing you to really dig into this information because just tracking your hours is just the start of the process. Because by tracking your hours, you are giving yourself the tools that you need to understand how to better your organization. And we're going to really explore that today. So we'll give everyone else a couple of seconds just to get the last of their votes in. I want to thank you all for being very prompt and exercising your right to vote. It looks like we do have a clear leader, and that is we track project time against both billable and non-billable hours, which is very important. You want to understand where you're making your money and where you could improve upon your processes and maybe allocate your hours a little bit differently. But we'll actually even show you a little bit further how to track these hours. I'm going to share my results quickly. So clear winner was we track project against both billable and non-billable hours. We also track all project and non-project related time today, and we track time for attendance and do not need the details. So Replicon can help with these instances. Every single one of these scenarios we can help in varying degrees, but we'll take a look at maybe why it's good to look a little bit deeper into your information than just kind of that surface level detail. So we are actually going to do the big reveal of the platform. I want to thank you all again for voting, and let's get this started. So at Replicon, we know that there is so much information that is being fed into your organization at any given time. You have time, you have expenses, you have costs, and to dig even further into that, you have project time, you have non-project time, you have billable hours, you have non-billable hours, you have time off, you have work time, you have over-allocated hours, you have hours that are working for you, you have hours that are working against you, you have hours that are making you money, and you have hours that are costing you money, and all this can be so difficult to manage. So not only do we want to help you track every single hour, but we want to help you transform it. And we do this through our dashboards, which are the living, breathing culmination of all the data that you have input into Replicon. So like we said before, we can help you track every single hour, whether that is work time, whether that is your over allocated hours, we don't want to see that, or your time off hours, and even your estimated hours. We can help you track every single hour that you enter into your organization. But if we want to take that a step further, we can use these hours to understand our productivity. So ideally, right, we want to be working on projects because that's where we're making our money. Inevitably, we are going to be not working on projects, which is our non-project hours, but we want to limit that time. And you know what? Looking at our overall productivity right now, 89% project time, 11% non-project time, things are looking quite good. But if we take that a step further, we will actually see maybe not as efficient as we thought. So a good utilization rate to shoot for as an organization is about, I'd say, 70%. And although we were using 89% of our time towards projects, we can see once we break that down even further, 32% of our total time is non-billable project time and 11% is non-project time. So that means 43% of our time is not really making us money. I mean, if you go roundabout, it is making us money, but not directly because we are making our money during our projects. So only 57% of our utilization is being used towards this billable hours. And we can see how that directly affects each and every individual project by our project analyzer. So once we drill down here, we can actually change all our metrics over a cost. We can see how these non-billable hours really do affect some of our projects. So if you take a look at evaluation of our analytic tools and evaluation of our financial reporting tools, and to a lesser degree, evaluation of billing systems and dashboarding, these projects are starting to get away from us. They are logging up these non-billable hours, and that's increasing our costs and the time we're spending on these projects where we're not able to work on other projects that are making us money. So this is a really good indicator that we really need to rein things in and turn things around on these projects. So the idea behind Replicon is we are making everything proactive because we know right now with people working everywhere, it can be so hard to communicate and understand what is going on. So Replicon displays your data for everyone who needs it in a way that makes sense so everyone can take correct action to ensure that their organization is running as efficiently as possible. But to log any of this information into our platform, we will need, well, projects to log our time towards. And we can get our projects into Replicon in a number of ways. So big reveal of the platform, dun, 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 here is Replicon. So with Replicon, if you have your own project planning program, like say Microsoft Projects, as we said before, we are an open source API. So you can send all that project data right over to Replicon and it will be visualized just like you see here. But if you don't have your own project planning program, that is okay too, because again, like I said before, Replicon is very, very configurable. So we can actually create projects right from the platform itself. So depending on what modules that you have activated, you will see different options, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. So we can change things like program, time and expense entry, total contract value, the list goes on. But that is just the start. After we've created this project, we want them to be flexible and we want them to be able to adapt to whatever changing things are happening in your organization. So we can actually adjust these projects on the fly. So we can change things like our cost type from CapEx to OpEx to unclassified. We can change our invoice currency, total contract value, estimated hours, cost, and expenses. Because we know that what this project looks like now may be different in a week or a month or a year. So we want it to be able to evolve and grow with whatever changes in your organization. And that is at the heart of the Replicon platform is we are configurable and we can grow and change and evolve with your organization no matter what the situation may be. And to better understand how will we be logging our hours towards projects within Replicon, it's good to understand how they are structured throughout the platform. And at the top of our project tree, we have programs. And programs are the larger initiatives within an organization. So these programs are essentially a group of projects and they can contain as many projects as you see fit, or with our administration and lonely sales and business development, they may only contain one project, but that is okay. Again, Replicon is about what you need and you can choose whatever configuration of these projects and programs you need for your organization. A couple other things we will see a lot of in Replicon. If you have a ton of different solutions open, you will be able to drill down into things like hours, cost, billing, budget. But right now we're focusing on costing, so we'll leave all that other information to the side. But we can choose how we set these tables. And if we have hundreds of projects, this sorting feature is very useful. And it's also important because it allows me to identify some outliers. So maybe I see, you know what, business intelligence practices. It's a pretty big program. It's pretty expensive. I want to find out more. I wish Replicon could tell, well, of course it can tell us more. If we see this lovely light blue font, that usually means we can drill down. And once we drill down, we'll be given a host of information on this program. Depending again, what we have active, we could look at hours, cost, billing, resources, but it'll also give us a list of every project in this program. So based on your permission settings, what you see here may differ. I'm an administrator, so I have access to everything. So here I can see projects I am working on, projects that are in progress, completed projects, and archived projects. And it is so important that we are giving you access to all of your information because, well, one, it's your information and you should have access to it. But two, this really allows you to better plan your projects in the future. If you can go back and dig down into specific projects and see maybe where you had a couple of bad weeks, a couple of bad months, how your resourcing and your allocations went wrong, or maybe you can see what you did really well and where you were shining in these projects. it allows you to better plan for the future. And what, again, Replicon is about is being proactive. So we want to help you understand how resourcing affects your projects, how your time tracking, how your costing, how all of this factors into a successful or not so successful project. So we want to give you access to all this information that you can always peruse through. And if you archive something like you see here, this will actually not display in the areas like we saw before, like that program page or on our dashboards. So you can choose what information is visible as well throughout the platform. So again, we're giving you full control over everything and access to all of your data. And again, just like with our programs page, I can sort through everything as necessary. I can change my table settings. We actually get quite a bit more with these projects. And I can sort through different metrics. And again, if something piques my interest, very expensive program, I have an expensive project, I want to find out more. Financial data reporting fixes, I can drill down here and I will be given a host of information on hours, cost, billing. I can take a look at this daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly. But again, we're focusing on our costs. So let's take a peek at how this project costed out in its infancy. So early 2019 and late 2018, we can see things were not going so well cost-wise for us. We were setting our estimates and we were blowing by them in many instances at least 2 times, maybe even 10 times, and things were not going so well. Maybe this was a time before Replicon when we were planning our projects manually or in a different program, and we were not able to make proactive decisions to better our organization. So as we can see, our costs got away from us on this project. And Replicon, again, is about making proactive decisions. So right now, if you're in the planning processes and you start putting those costs in and you can see them growing and growing, and in previous weeks, maybe those actual costs and estimated costs weren't lining up, this allows you to better resource, better plan things out so we are not continually blowing by our estimates, and again, being successful and efficient as an organization. But we did not only just want to give you these histograms and we didn't want you just to be able to look at a project level, we wanted to drill down even further because we don't want our projects just to be a checkbox on your timesheet. We want them to be so much more. So we break them down into tasks, and these are the nice bite-sized digestible chunks of your projects. We can create as simple or complex task trees as we see fit. And as we begin working on these tasks, we can start logging our estimates. And estimates are important for a couple of reasons. One major reason is, well, understanding how close to completion this task is or should be. So take, for example, our interviewing. Our interviewing is at 46 out of 50 hours. And if that is in fact the case and we're just about done working on this task, then we can start moving our hours elsewhere. On the inverse, if we look at something like implementation, we're not quite so efficient and we are not looking like we are anywhere in sight of finishing off. So this is a good indicator that we need to put our hammer to the dirt and really finish off this project task before things get away from us further than they already have. What these estimates also allow us to do is understand where our strengths and weaknesses may lie. So if we are continually coming in under our estimated time on our user training, 125 hours is all we need, and that's almost consistent across the board, then we can start building down those estimates. And if we're building down our estimates, that means we can fit more projects into a year, and more projects means more money. So we want to really have accurate forecasting, because on the flip side, if we look at implementation and that is hemorrhaging us money every single time we're working on an implementation because we are not actually estimating our estimates correctly, well, then we start building up those estimates in the future and we will have a better idea of how we are forecasting our hours that are going to be used on these projects. And then we can better plan the maximum amount of projects that we can fit into a year without having to worry about losing money or losing efficiency. So by having access to all this information, we really can plan to maximum capacity. So far we have looked at how we plan our projects, and now we will need a team working on these projects, and this may come as a shock, but this is done in the Team tab. So our Team tab not only allows us to understand exactly who is assigned to a project, but it also gives us a good indicator of permissions in Replicon. So within Replicon, we can give permissions based on roles. We can assign permissions on a user level, on a batch level, and this allows us to control exactly what people can see in the platform. So take, for example, we are looking at Tammy Benson right now. These are all the projects that Tammy Benson is working on. Now, if Tammy Benson is in a project that's in a program, she won't be able to see any of those other projects unless she has been assigned to it. And then on top of that, Tammy Benson will only be able to see project information within those projects that she has assigned to her. And one example of that would be tasks. So tasks can be assigned on an individual level. We can assign full task trees, but these are the only tasks that Tammy will be able to log her time towards on her timesheet. So by having this really narrow focus, we allow everyone to enter their time accurately, because we know how much of a pain it can be if there are 100 different options and you're not sure which one you should be entering. We can really narrow in this focus, ensure that the time being entered is accurate, there's no erroneous errors, and not only can we control what they see, but we can control when they see it. So we can have start and end dates where we can schedule what they should be working on and when they should be working on it, so that our resources fully understand exactly what their time entry process should look like, and we can control everything that they are logging their time towards within our platform. And understanding how users are allocated is one part, or put on a team is one part, but we also need to understand how they are allocated. So I do see your question. I'm going to save everything to the end. So just save anything in your brain. You can put them in the question box, but we'll answer everything once we get to the end of our webinar here. So don't feel like I'm ignoring you. Maybe you missed the beginning spiel, but yeah, we'll get to everything as soon as I can at the end. So we also not only want to understand who is on a project, but how all their hours are allocated. And our allocation tab allows you to understand this quite easily. So we have a couple of different color codes here. We can see our hours in blue up top here are hours that are allocated to this project. Hours in gray are hours allocated to other projects. Our hours in green are hours allocated to time off, and our gray, green, gray, beige, whatever color that is, those are hours that are allocated to our holidays. Now, what we don't want to see are these little red triangles in the corner. That means we have over-allocated hours, and over-allocation means overtime, and overtime means increased costs, and that's what we want to avoid. So Replicon really gives indicators of how we are using our resources efficiently or inefficiently. And inefficiently, sorry, inefficiently is not a word, but as we can see, we're actually being a little inefficient right now because we don't have anyone working on this project and we want to close things out. So I think it's time to kickstart things. And we can do that with our add user screen. So we know that adding users to a project can be intimidating, especially if you are a large organization and you have so many different employees that you can sift through. We want to make this process, again, easy. Just like everything in Replicon, we want it to be simple. So one, we will display how much time they have available. And if you need to find someone in a specific location, I've been doing webinars for Australia and for the UK this morning, but we like time zones to line up because some people do enjoy their beauty sleep. So let's pick North America. We want everything to match up accordingly. And I do need someone with a very specific set of skills. I don't know if Liam Neeson is available, but I do need a Sage architect. And it looks like we have a person that matches all of our requirements. And there will be also instances where maybe we narrow down the search and we have a specific skill that we're looking at, but there is more than one person. We can actually assign rankings to these skills as well. So if Alex is our Sage, we've given him 3 stars. He is working on our premium projects. He demands the highest cost, but he also can work on the most complex tasks. And maybe we have some more beginner Sage architects and we can give them a 1-star ranking and we can assign them to the more entry-level projects and help them move along and gain their skills. So our allocation screen really allows us to understand exactly who we need working on a project at any given moment. And once we have found the person for the job, we can go ahead and add them to the team. Alex, you're on the squad. And from there, assigning his hours is just as simple. So we can drill down. Now we want him working next month, not this month. This month is almost over. So we can assign him a number of hours per day, total hours per day, week, or month, or very useful is a percentage of our scheduled hours. So we know that over allocating our resources can cause a lot of problems because we're over allocating hours and that's increasing our costs. But under allocation does have its downfalls as well. For under allocating hours, we are not finishing projects as quickly as we could be. And again, this leads to decreased capacity. We're not fitting in as many projects as we could in a year. And especially right now, if we have resources that are working from home, they may not be understanding exactly what they should be working on at any given time, and they may find themselves running astray. So if we are able to allocate 100% of all of their resources, everyone knows exactly what they should be working on, and we're not over allocating, we're not under allocating, we are being as efficient as possible. So I am going to go ahead and add Alex's allocations to our sheet here. And this will have instant impacts on all the pages we saw previously, whether that be our dashboards or our projects page. We will be able to see the results of adding these hours immediately. So every user within Replicon has a cost associated with them, and you can normalize this cost for some projects or all projects. We have cost normalization rules that are configurable within our platform, but you will see this updated in those actuals and estimates throughout. And if we want to understand this efficiency even further, we can drill down into our resources tab. So our resources tab is very similar to our allocation tab, except on an organization-wide level. And this really allows us to better understand our resourcing. So maybe we are having a specific week in a project that went bad and we want to understand more. We can drill down into financial data reporting fixes and see why there's a week that went particularly bad. Maybe it's because we had 2 users that were over allocated and we had some users that were under allocated. So we weren't effectively staffing this project at that point in time. Or maybe we are finding that there's a certain role that we are short in. And if we take a look at our project managers and we're over allocating our project managers and we don't have enough of them, or maybe Sage architects, we saw we only have the one in our whole organization. And if he isn't demanded, we have multiple projects that need Sage architects, then we're going to be over allocating and increasing our costs. So this resourcing tab really allows us to understand what hiring or training or how we can better establish a kind of a distribution of our resources so that we are being as efficient as possible. But there will be also some instances where we don't know exactly who or how many resources we need on a project. Maybe we're still in the planning phases. For that, we have our placeholder resources. So our placeholder resources are very similar to our traditional resources in the fact that you can assign them skills and costs, but these are perfect for that project planning phase. You can start phasing in these resources and we can see how this will affect our costs, how many hours we're looking to spend, and if we need to do any training or hiring. And once we have the correct placeholder resources in place and we know exactly what we're looking to use on this project, then we can start slotting in those real resources. And once those resources are in place, you don't have to worry about your data being skewed or being left askew because, well, everything has been planned already. Replicon has done all the legwork, it's done all the hard stuff. All you have to do is slot in your resources and then they can start working towards getting that project completed. So far we have looked at how we plan our projects and how we staff them. And now is the fun part. We get to log our time towards these projects. And time is something that Replicon does very, very well. We call ourselves the time intelligence company for a reason. We have so many permutations of timesheets within Replicon that we could feasibly create a timesheet for every single user in your organization. So the timesheet that we see in front of us right now is a little bit more of a project-oriented timesheet. So we are logging our time towards specific programs, projects, tasks, and activities, if applicable. And all of these are searchable. So if you're an organization with 100 different job codes, again, we wanted to make this process as efficient for everyone involved. So you can search for the exact program, project, or task that you're looking for and really narrow it down. So again, we're not getting erroneous time entry and everything is being entered succinctly. And once we have chosen our different metrics, we can start logging our time. And depending on what we have configured on this timesheet, we can see right now we have actually a progress bar. And as we saw before, implementation is a little bit of a thorn in our side. And it is a little bit, and by a little bit, a lot over our estimated completion time. So there's a couple things that can happen here. One, it gives my resource the understanding of how far along this specific task is, but it also allows them to be proactive. And we'll see that in action in just a second here. But I've had a pretty long week. Monday was a doozy. So I'm going to go ahead and put this week behind me and I'm going to submit this timesheet for approval. And the first thing we'll see here is an attestation, and this is an example of validation rules within Replicon. So validation rules are certain parameters that must be met every single time one of these timesheets is submitted. And these validation rules cover a host of different things like minimum hours entered, maximum hours entered, maximum overtime for a day, maximum overtime for a week, hours during a rolling period, mandatory break enforcement. The list goes on. We have over 70 different validation rules already built into Replicon. This library is constantly growing and we can always work with you to create the custom validation rules that you need to ensure that your time entry is accurate. And there will be different results if I don't meet one of these validation rules. So in this example, I forgot to accept our attestation on the bottom. So I will get this gentle reminder here to accept and submit. And once I do, Replicon will be able to work its magic. Might need a second to think about this timesheet. It's a little bit atrocious, but as we can see, I'm getting an error popping up and my timesheet submission was failed. So these validation rules are so important for putting the onus on the end user because we don't want to inundate our supervisors and our approvers with going through all these timesheets and fixing things because we especially now know the problem of sending emails back and forth or a call. Do I need to fix this? Yes. Is this what I need to change? No. Do I need to change this? Yes. To what? It's just a headache. It makes me it pains me just to think about. So we want to avoid that whole situation. We want to put the onus on the end user. So here, the timesheet was rejected because our financial data reporting fixes implementation task has exceeded our estimated 150 hours. And we can set this threshold to trigger at 100% of our estimated hours, 200% of our estimated hours, or 300% of our estimated hours. And perhaps this task was being worked on before it was in Replicon, and that's why it was racked up so high. Or maybe we didn't have one of these validation rules in place. But now, if this employee wants to submit their timesheet, they have to have a conversation with a manager. And maybe this manager did not realize that this implementation task was just going out of control. So now again, we can take proactive measures and fix things before they get too dire, because there is nothing fun about looking back on a project and realizing that you let things get away from you. So by having these validation rules in place, not only can we ensure that all our time being entered is accurate, but we can make proactive decisions and choices to better off our organization. And once you're ready to submit a timesheet and everything has been corrected, these timesheets can be found in a number of places throughout our platform. One of those, if you're an administrator, will be our cost tab. And here you have a historical record of every single timesheet, whether it has been not submitted, it's rejected, waiting for approval. You will be able to find them all here, as well as any validation rules that have been triggered. And this is really important in case you ever need to go back in time for an audit or dispute. You have full accountability for all the timesheets that have been entered. But a little more common of the process is our team tab. So if you have a team below you, you can approve their timesheets, expenses, time punches, crew time, time off. The list goes on. As I said before, Replicon is capable of so much, and we're just skimming the top today with our costing. But as you can see, you will have a lot of activity if you are an approver with lots of different solutions active. So anytime there is action that needs to be taken, you will be sent an email or a push notification, and then you know to log into Replicon and go through these timesheets and get these approvals done. Again, speeding up the process for everyone. So here we have a couple of different examples of timesheets. With Chris DeFonte, we can actually see that he has a little bit more of a basic timesheet. He's just entering the time that he worked for the day. And for many organizations, that is more than enough. But unfortunately, Chris has exceeded his timesheet period hours, and this has triggered one of our warnings. So maybe we don't find this error as egregious, or maybe this is expected because Chris does work some overtime hours. So we allow this timesheet to be submitted, but it will throw up one of these warning flags. And this allows me to drill down and reopen his timesheet if necessary, and I can correct things if it has to happen. But like we said before, we want to put the onus on the end user. So we can actually give Chris approval to reopen this timesheet during the specific period, and he can go drill down and adjust anything that needs to be adjusted. And all these changes will be logged in the approval history at the bottom here. So there is full accountability for any of these changes, and we know exactly what happened. So again, in case of dispute or audit, we can always refer back to this timesheet and understand exactly what was changed. Now, another example of a timesheet here is with Kurt Jones, and Kurt Jones has a little bit more of a customized timesheet. So Kurt is actually logging the exact hours that he has worked during the day on a specific task, project, and activity. He can also log his breaks, so you have full control over what you're able to log and what you don't want your resources to log. And we can also see that Kurt has a couple of custom fields on his timesheet, one of those being comments. And right now, again, comments are very important. If we're trying to digitalize and people are working from home or from the road, we might not have as much constant contact with everyone in our organization. So by having these comments available, we can really understand exactly where their struggles are or where their successes are, and kind of have some sort of semblance to an ongoing conversation with each one of these resources. But we can only have this ongoing conversation if Kurt does enter his comments. And as we can see, he has triggered 6 errors. He did not enter his comments at all. And if this is something we value as an organization, we can go back with Kurt and have a discussion. And if he continues not to enter these comments, we can actually change this validation rule to reject this timesheet, so he is forced to submit his comments. So these timesheets are flexible, and they can be configured on a week-to-week basis so that you can always adjust to your changing needs. Another thing that is different on this timesheet is we have this mileage tab on the end, and this could say mileage, it could say units completed, it could be photo proof of the work done during the day. What we are trying to show is that we can create a different timesheet for every single user in your organization and every scenario they may face. So Kurt might be working from home some weeks, he might be working from the road, he might be working in the office, and there might be some weeks where he's working a little bit of every single one of those situations. And we want to have a timesheet that adapts to every single one of these scenarios, and within Replicon, we can do that. We are so flexible. We can create as many timesheets templates as we see fit, and we can assign them on a week-to-week basis to any user in our organization. So we can be sure that we are keeping up with any ongoing changes as situations change and evolve. And we wanted this adaptability to transfer over to our mobile app. So I'm just going to switch my screen quickly here, and we're going to show you the mobile app in action. So our Replicon mobile app was created with ease of use in mind. So when we first started up, we will usually be greeted by chatbot. I had a webinar just before this, so I was a little bit further into the platform, but chatbot can help us streamline processes. Chatbot can answer questions, and chatbot is looking very cute today, but unfortunately chatbot, I don't have any time for you. We are on a strict schedule, so we will have to cover you in another webinar. But Replicon does allow us to enter our time in many different ways. So we do also support punching. So here you can see I can punch towards specific clients, projects, tasks for using for a billable project. And I can also punch in towards breaks and clock out. And I can also transfer my projects and tasks. So punching is something that Replicon does support. And also we do support our more traditional timesheets on our mobile app as well. Anything that you have configured on the desktop platform will transfer over to our mobile app. So here I can log time towards specific programs and projects and tasks. And if applicable activities, I can add these hours across multiple days. So again, we are really streamlining this process and making it easy for every single user to enter their time regardless of where they are. And this process is just as easy for our approvers. So we have this handy dashboard available to you. And this dashboard will really allow you to drill into any actions that need to be taken. So again, if you have an approval for expenses, timesheets, or time off, you will get a notification via push or email. And you can drill down into any one of these different areas and understand exactly what happened on any of these approving areas. So here we can see for timesheets, I can take a look at Tammy Benson and see that she does have 8 hours logged per day, 40 hours for this week, kind of business as usual. And if there's no validation warnings triggered, then it's a pretty good indicator that I can go ahead and approve this timesheet. But as I said before, Replicon does have smart approval processes. So instead of approving 100 different business as usual timesheets, we can actually set Replicon to approve these timesheets automatically. We have these approval processes in place. We have these validation rules and we have these permissions. So we know the time being entered is going to be clean. And if it meets all of our stringent requirements, we can just set it to approve automatically and save time for every single person involved. We move this process along quicker, and it means we're able to work on the things that matter more. But if smart approval process isn't something that interests you, you can also do the more traditional approval processes. You can do one-step approval, you could do two-step approval, you could do 10-step approval if you wanted. Again, Replicon, configurable to meet all of your needs, and you can make this platform work for you as you need it. So far we have looked at how we are logging our time, we have looked at how we are planning our projects, and we have looked at how we are staffing them. And now we need to see what this time is doing for our organization. And one of the ways that we do this is through our time workbench. So our time workbench is an accurate log of every single hour that you have logged in Replicon. Here we can sort by different task names, project names, activity names. And this is important for a couple reasons. Maybe we are looking at logging our time for R&D tax credits. The requirements that we must submit for audit time are very stringent. There are only specific activities and projects that can be logged for this R&D tax credit. So we need to be sure we are accurately tracking every single thing that we do within our organization. So when it comes to audit time, we are audit proof. Another area where this is very useful is if we are just trying to understand where our chargebacks are going. So if we have specific tasks that are being worked on, we'll know exactly where we should charge for the work done in our organization. So this time workbench really allows us to break down our time and understand how it is being distributed. And we're open source API. So if you need to get this time data anywhere else, in this instance, I actually have file formats ready to go for JD Edwards, Oracle, PeopleSoft, and SAP. You can get your information wherever it needs to be. We have so many out-of-the-box connectors that you can easily connect with any program in your ecosystem. And even if it is your own homebrew format or homebrew solution, we can connect with it some way, shape, or form. We can work with you to create a custom connector, or when in doubt, we can always send over a CSV, which is basically compatible with every format under the sun. So you can be sure that you can get this time information exactly where you need it to go. And after we have this time information where we need it, we want to understand everything that has happened in our organization. We not only want to understand the hours that we've logged, but what these hours mean for each individual project and our organization as a whole. And we do this in a number of ways in our platform. One of those is through our dashboards. So like we saw before, dashboards are the living, breathing culmination of everything that you have input into Replicon. And these cover so many different metrics. These dashboards can be created from scratch, edited, changed on the fly, and are perfect for exporting into slideshows or presentations for leadership, or just giving you a quick understanding of a specific parameter in your organization. So say maybe I want to understand more about our top cost by project. I can drill down into this dashboard. I'll be given a table with all the information. I can export that table if necessary. But if I want to find out more about a specific project, I can drill down further and see where these expenses and costs are being incurred. So we're able to identify any outliers or specific information that we need for a specific reason with a couple of clicks. And if we want to drill down even further into our information, we have our reports. And reports are so important because they give us the hardline data behind our organization. So within Replicon, we already have kind of our laundry list of the most requested reports, but by no means is this exhaustive. We can always add, subtract, again, build from the ground up, configure these reports to be exactly what we need them to be. And we can schedule these to run daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and they can be sent to anyone with an email address. And if I need to, I can run these reports on the spot. And for example, here I have a project cost report where we're taking a look at our actual cost per project. We're taking a look at our actual normalized costs and our estimated costs, and comparing this to all of our expenses. So we kind of have a good health indicator of every single project, how much we're spending versus how much we expect to spend at a quick glance. And if we send this out daily, then we can see the constant change and evolution of these projects over time. And finally, we do understand that Replicon may or may not be the only piece of your ecosystem. So we want our data to work in tandem with everything else you have going on. So for that, we have our BI connectors. So we can connect to BI tools like Tableau, Google BigQuery, or Power BI. And all you have to do to get your visualizations displayed, just like you see here, is download one of our sample workbooks and log in through your instance, which is basically just your password and username, and you will be able to visualize all of your information just like you see here. So not only can we help you capture every single point of data in your organization, but we can help you transform it and use it in a way that can better off every single user, employee, and project in your company as a whole. So that's actually going to bring me to the end of our demo today. I'm just going to hop back into our PowerPoint. We'll do a quick review of everything we saw today, look at some customer transformations, and I have seen some questions flooding in, so we will get to those all at the Q&A period at the very end. So as we saw today, there are so many benefits to Replicon. We can help you decrease costing errors, increase utilization, decrease administrative overhead, improve chargebacks, capitalization, R&D tax credits, reduce compliance risk, and increase resource planning. What Replicon is doing is we are giving you one source of truth for all of your time data and making it so easy for everyone in your organization who needs this time data to be able to pull it and get it where it needs to go. And we can see a couple examples of this in action. So one example is our 800 employee computer software company. When they started off, they used an on-premises system, but this was not able to grow with them. As they grew, this on-premises system became cumbersome. It limited their insight. And when it came to tax time, things were not, they were a little sweaty. They were not audit-proof, to say the least. But after implementing Replicon, they had accurate and effective hours attribution to all their R&D projects. They were spending less time on tracking and more time on working. When it came to tax time, they were much more comfortable, and they had attribution to all the hours they spent on each specific task, and they had a centralized solution where they could pull all the data that they needed from. Another example we have is this 300 plus employee consulting firm, and they shudder and gasp, I know, used manual spreadsheets, and of course this is not going to be flexible. This made it difficult to manage their cash flows, made billing an utter nightmare, and affected their profitability. After implementing Replicon, they had a user-friendly interface that accurate and consistent data collection was made possible. They had improved resource management, better staffing, and faster and accurate billing, which led to them being more successful as a whole. So like I said before, we saw little glimpses of the other parts of our comprehensive suite today, but we really did focus on our project time and costing solution. But if there is anything that really interests you, you can always tune into our weekly webinars or drop me a line. My email is curtis.dohaniuk@replicon.com. My name is Curtis Dohaniak, and it is a little bit of a tongue twister, so it might be good to copy down from this slide here, because maybe a little bit later you're drinking a coffee or just lounging and you, for some reason, Replicon pops into your brain. Question that was burning that maybe escaped you now, it comes back later. You can always drop me a line and I will get you hooked up with the answer. I want to thank everyone so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate all of your time. And I think we'll wrap it up here. So I hope you're all staying healthy, staying safe, staying happy, and we hope to hear from you soon. Thanks again for joining us and take care.